everyone, my name is Kayla Monet Brown. I also go by Kay Monet as my artist name, and welcome to Exploring the Arts. So my channel is about everything you could think of in the arts, such as tutorials, artist talks like the one I'm going to be doing today. So hopefully this channel will provide a lot of information that you need if you're starting out, or if you are an artist who's a little bit further along the way in their art career and just kind of like I say, want to make sure you're heading in the right direction. So today's topic is going to be about what it means to be an artist, and this is just completely based off of my experience and all the things that I've done. Mind you, I did not study art in school. I had actually studied architecture and interior design, which I actually am still working in that field. So in addition to being an artist and in running a small business, crafting and creating items. So just a little bit of a background with me. I have been pursuing arts for 4 years now. Prior to that, I was doing my studies in school, and I worked for 1 year in the field before I realized like art was my calling. Like I had to go back to my origins, and art was something that has always been a part of my life ever since I was little. So I felt the need to go back to it and to pursue it as a career and see where it takes me. And so far I've done quite a lot with myself, and what I've tested and what I've tried, what has worked for me, what I failed with, and so on and so forth. So let's get right into it. So if you are an artist who is an emerging artist, then like a lot of you guys, I'm sure you have a day job. For myself, I had a 9 to 5 in order to be able to just pay my bills and whatnot. Now I do work part-time in order to have the flexibility in hours. So if you are starting out and if money is a huge issue, I definitely recommend getting yourself something that's a little bit more stable and kind of like working your way and figuring out what you want to do, because that's kind of what I did. I had worked my 9 to 5, and on the weekends I went to Central Park and I put up a little stand and I did live paintings and sold those paintings to people who were interested. And it wasn't for much, of course, because I was just starting out and still learning things, but that is where I had started with everything. Some people have worked and like part-time. Some people have actually worked in galleries part-time, or either they've worked in something related to or unrelated to this in order to, you know, sustain themselves while they're trying to get themselves out there and trying to figure things out for themselves along the way. And what I mean by figure themselves out, I mean figuring out what their medium is that they like to work with, figuring out what their style is, figuring out where they belong. And what I mean belong is like, do you belong in a gallery, or are you more for art fairs? Are you going to be doing more of street fairs? So there's just like many different directions you could go in, and what I find is having a part-time job alleviates the stress when it comes to financial. And also on top of that, going into the arts, I have to admit, is not it's not cheap, unfortunately. You have art shows and you have people who are involved in these shows that they have to pay. So at the end of the day, as an artist, you have to put up some money for it, whether it's with a gallery, or either whether it's with a pop-up fair or whatever the case may be. And also, if you are going to be with a gallery, a lot of times they take a commission, and or instead of having you pay upfront. So there's also that option as well too. So since I've started my art career, I've done a number of fairs and art shows here in New York and Massachusetts. That's where I have family out there, so it's just pretty easy to drive up and stay with them while I was doing the art show or the art fair, and whatnot. And I've also hosted my very own art show called Into the Art, where I had over 20 other artists in the show, and it included performing arts as well. Through all this time, I've met a lot of people who have had a lot of different backgrounds and different forms of art, and it was a lot of fun meeting all these different people, talking with them, finding out what their experiences were, seeing where they are in their career as well, you know, just to transfer information, because the more you know, the better. And like I said in my last video, being educated and educating yourself is the best thing you can do for yourself. And the one thing that I found in common between all of us is that we all needed to have patience and willpower, because it is a very long process. And for myself personally, I feel like I'm still growing and there's still a lot of room to grow. And to be honest with you, a lot of times it has to factor to play with the timing. So for example, you might be a graphic designer, and right now, I mean, graphic design is on the rise, and because a lot of companies need graphic designers or to promote stuff online. So it just kind of depends on what your area of expertise is and whether or not this is that moment for it. And also too, don't just do work just to get the money, you know, because at the end of the day you might not feel like you're doing your part. Because the worst thing you can do for yourself is to work a job you don't like, you know. So when you are figuring out what your niche is, I honestly say don't fully depend on what is popular right now. I feel that you can possibly learn a skill in addition to yours, or either incorporate your skill into whatever is popular in order to kind of like get noticed. Again, like I said, time and patience is a huge factor of it because of this. So you have to kind of wait it out, I guess, and see when your time is right to have your moment of shine. And at that point, then, you know, it all should flow after that. I've seen that happen to other artists as well. I also want to touch a little bit about the business side of art. And I hate to say business because art has always been personal, and I'm sure that art has been personal for a lot of you guys too, but in the sense of like it's been very emotional. Like, I'm putting my emotions onto a canvas or a piece of artwork that I've been making, and I hate putting the word business to it, but at the end of the day it is. Like I said before about how whether you're working with a gallery, whether you're doing a pop-up show, you have to put money into it, and because they're running a business, you're running a business yourself as the artist. You are the brand at the end of the day, and you have to kind of be a little bit smart about where you're putting your money towards different things. And that's why I also emphasize a lot about figuring out where your niche is before you start heavily investing into things, because it does add up. And on top of that, if you're not following your, I wouldn't necessarily say your direction, but if you're not following your goals, then it gets a little bit pricey, complicated, you get confused along the way, and it might start to become a little, you may become lost. That brings me to my next point, where it's if you want to have an art career or if you want to be in the arts for a hobby. So being in the arts for a hobby, totally fun. Absolutely amazing. You get to go to these shows, you sign up for the art exhibitions and so on and so forth. You get to meet all these different people, and it's just like, it's so much fun. But if you want to do it as a career, you do have to know the business behind it, and you have to invest time into learning about it. And hopefully later on down the line in my channel, I can cover that with you guys as well, about the business and behind the scenes aspect of being an artist, and some of the things that you're going to need to do starting out and also along the way. And just to touch briefly on one of the things that I would be mentioning later on in a later video about business side is marketing. You have to kind of like figure out where you want to be, what your goals are, and where you want to take your art in order to know who your audience is. Figuring out what your audience is really important, because then you can pick a direction to go in that follows your goals for your art career, and also you can figure out who you need to be reaching out to, and also you can figure out who you can interact with in order to move forward and get noticed, get the recognition you deserve as an artist, and get yourself put out there. Finding your market it helps quite a bit with the distractions. Like I said, there are so many different avenues that you could go in, and picking an avenue, picking a market that you want to direct yourself towards, it's going to help you stay focused and get to where you need to. And it's going to help you get to where you need to sooner. Now, being an artist, it does require a lot of time, a lot of sweat, and a lot of tears to build your empire, but you'll make it. You'll get there. And when you do get there, you'll be able to do what you love and also be able to live comfortably as well, or even better, hopefully. So that's it for today, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.